Snow leopard eats ibex. Ibex eats grass. Eats Grass eats microbes. Microbes eat snow leopards.
Hello everybody, it is super exciting to be with you all here today. Thank you for participating in our event and for coming to join me in making a toy called a Flexagon. All of us here truly hope that you and your families are feeling healthy and doing well. We're thinking about you and are so glad to be here with you today. My name is Kaustubh Sharma and I'm a senior ecologist working to help protect snow leopards. I'm living in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, which is one of the snow leopard range countries. Now, before we begin, I want to tell you what all you will need to make your very own Flexagon so that you can gather your things. You will need a printer, an A4 sized or a US letter sized paper, a ruler, look like this, a pair of scissors, I have my snow leopard scissors, a paper cutter, a flat surface to work on, an optional glue stick, and lastly, a lot of patience and all your paper folding skills. Now, if you haven't printed the page yet, this is a good time to do so. While you collect the material, let me tell you the story of this snow leopard Flexagon. My daughter just turned 6 this August. Raise your hand if you're 6 or turning 6 soon, or if you ever were 6. Well, I was, many decades ago though. Like so many other kids right now, due to the pandemic-related lockdown, she couldn't go to school and she was missing her friends. Maybe you feel the same way. She complained a lot about not being able to meet her friends and going to school, but slowly it became a long vacation. The problem with the long vacation is that unless you have friends to play with or an endless supply of toys, you can get bored very fast. We were stuck at home and my daughter was already bored in like 3 days. So we started exploring ways to make our own toys with things at home. Among the many other things we made together, we learned to make a far-flying paper airplane, we created our own fidget spinner, we learned to make SpongeBob's best friend Gary with a balloon, and so on. For me, it was super fun to get back to my own childhood, where we had few toys but lots of paper in our notebooks. Now, one of my favorite paper toys used to be a Flexagon. This is what a Flexagon looks like. It's an endlessly folding toy made of simple paper that can be with you for months as long as you don't squish it. This has been with us for at least 5 months now. The only change we made here is to create some fun learning within this toy. We will make the snow leopard food chain today, but you can make the life cycle of a butterfly, the water cycle, 4 seasons, or something else. You can get as creative as you want and create your own learning toy. By the way, my daughter and I always use one-sided paper, where one side is already printed and discarded. So we try to print it on the other side, because you all know it takes trees, water, and energy to make every sheet of paper. Here too, you might want to consider printing on a one-sided paper, as you will never actually see the other side of the printout once the Flexagon is complete. The only reason I'm using a fresh paper here for demonstration is to be able to explain it slightly better. And please make sure that the paper isn't too thick, because it then becomes too difficult to fold and the Flexagon starts ripping at the edges. And if the paper is too thin, the Flexagon doesn't hold up its shape as firmly as we would like it to be. The first thing you'll need to do is cut the paper along the lines that you see on the printed paper with a small scissor mark. If you're using scissors or a paper cutter, please do so under adult supervision. The safest way though is to simply use a ruler and a firm fold and just rip it from there. Now you will notice that this paper turns into a perfect square when you fold it in half. Now open the folded paper and create sharp creases along these horizontal markings that you see. I prefer to do it with the help of a ruler just to make sure the crease is straight, but then if you're a folding expert, feel free to fold without a ruler. Now this flexagon requires several folds, but they are very straightforward and simple. Let's keep creating these creases while I share a little story. Believe it or not, for the first 2 years of working with snow leopards, I never even saw one in the wild. When I got to see my very first wild snow leopard, guess what? It had just finished eating an ibex who was probably hunted when it was eating grass. I'm sure the grass was getting nutrients from microbes in the soil below. Now, does that sound a little familiar? Haha, that's the life cycle we are creating today. So once you have made the sharp creases, please turn them over so that you can see the printed side of the paper. Now we will need to fold the paper along these vertical lines. The easiest way to do so is to fold them along each of these markings. Just follow me here, please. Okay, now on the other side of the strip. Just make these creases along the vertical markings that you see. In total, we have to make 7 vertical creases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now let's start making the diagonal creases. These ones from here to here. These are again a few repetitive steps. Just follow the markings and you'll be done with these in a couple of minutes. By the way, when I first shared this flexagon on social media, many grown-ups reached out asking how to make this toy. I had to tell them to wait until October because this lesson had to be first premiered for each of you who's joining us today as special friends of the snow leopards. A big thank you to all of you who have been patiently waiting all along. And don't forget to support snow leopards as you can do so through a multitude of ways, even on our virtual venue where you all have joined us today. Okay, now that we are done with the diagonal creases on one side, we need to make them on the other side. You know, as a kid I used to love shapes and patterns. I would often see shapes in clouds, trees, water, food, fruits, almost everywhere. Talking about shapes, can someone tell me what all shapes we have made here so far? Keep them coming in the activity stream while we make these diagonal creases. As you can see, it takes a little while to create these. Okay, these folds are again fairly straightforward. You will notice that we are ending up creating several diamond shapes. Or more technically, these are known as rhombuses. As some of you might know, a rhombus is a parallelogram with equal sides. A parallelogram, on the other hand, is a quadrilateral with parallel sides. Okay, let's double check and make sure we haven't missed any of these creases. Oops, here I missed one of these creases. Let me quickly make it now. Oh, by the way, let's have a quick check on all the shapes that we have created today. You remember, we did a square, we've done a rectangle, that's how we started. We've created several parallel lines. We've made several diamond shapes or rhombuses throughout the sheet of paper. And we have created a systematic squiggly shape too. Okay, just a quick reminder here, at each step, please make sure your creases are folded on both sides, as our flexagon will be moving on both directions, and it just helps to have flexible folds right when you are making it. By now, I think you should have all the folds ready. Don't worry if you're taking a little longer, this video will be available for you to view as many times as you want, so let's just keep going. Okay, now it's time to take out a piece from our shape. So please get your scissors ready. You see this segment on the right hand side? We will remove this out of the 8 segments that we have created earlier with those 7 vertical lines. Just cut it out with scissors or a cutter, but please do it under the supervision of a grown-up if you're using a sharp tool. We now need to insert one of the ends that we have just cut out and put it into the other side to make a bracelet. Make sure the piece going in fits well. If it's not fitting perfectly, you might want to crop a little bit of the edge. Now if you press on the bracelet, it will create a triangular shape like this. Hey, another shape, a triangle. Okay, now start pressing these edges down along the creases that you have already made. Just press it firmly to set the crease. Do it again to the next segment and the segment after. Do you notice that we are now ending up making yet another shape, which is called a hexagon? What's a hexagon? A hexagon is a shape with 6 equal sides. You will end up making 3 hexagons with your bracelet. Once you have the hexagons creased well, you can firm up the creases and you will notice the firm triangular cross section of your bracelet. We're so close now to finishing up our flexagon. Okay, now carefully push these shapes inwards. Just push them in. Guess what? That's it! Our flexagon is ready. Move your flexagon a few times to make sure the creases firm up. Sometimes you may need a little glue stick to stick this part here, but over time these folds settle in and you can use your flexagon to show your friends and family the life cycle of snow lemons. Well done everyone for successfully making your very first flexagon. You all deserve an applause. As mentioned earlier, you can create similar flexagons with paper to show other cyclic patterns. Just get creative and draw them on your flexagon made on plain paper, or send us your ideas and we'll create them for you to print on paper. Thank you very much once again for joining us today. I hope you're having a good time. See you around for other sessions. Have fun.